Hey, what's up, everybody, and welcome to the Celebrate Columbus Show, powered by Johnson Whitkemper Insurance Services. My name is Josh Burnett, and as you can see, we've got two special guests with us today. I'm so excited to introduce to some for the first time or reintroduce to others, Zach and Caitie Greiner. How are you guys doing today?
Doing great. Thanks for having us.
Oh, I'm glad to have you.
Yeah.
And today we're continuing a series on Turning Point's Child Abuse Prevention Adult Prom Court, which is a mouthful every time. But Zach and Caitie are fellow candidates, and they are raising funds with myself and many others for child abuse prevention programming at our BCSE schools. And as we get into this, we're going to talk about that a little bit, and then we're also going to invite you to join us in being a part of this. So Zach, Caitie, for those who may know you, I'm sure there's several people watching this that know you guys from around the community.
Yeah.
Could you tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do day to day?
Yeah. Baby, I'll let you start.
All right. Day to day, I work at Watts Family Dentistry. I'm their office manager and operations director. My parents were dentists for over 30 years in Columbus, and I came and helped them. And so when they retired, I just continued on. So that is my normal day-to-day, aside from being an unpaid Uber for our children and all of their sports. Previously, I am retired from coaching varsity volleyball at North. I was there for 10 seasons. So, but now just too busy with the boys.
Yes, for sure.
I work for a company called Kier Marbach. We do investment management. That's, the 9-to-5er, if you will, but probably spend more time and resources with the family and the kids. Big into youth sports is kind of a big thing that we like to do. So that's a little bit of I think what drove us into doing the child abuse prevention kind of support is we just spend a lot of time around the youth in Columbus. And then, if someone's ever asking me my hobbies, if I ever have a free time, I'll try to get around to golf in here or there, but I'm in debt to time when I do that, right? So
Understandable.
it's always challengeable.
And special note, I'm going to shout out Caitie because she was a phenomenal volleyball player at Columbus East. I remember watching her in the 2000s. And Zach, you ran cross country?
I played tennis at North.
Tennis, I'm sorry.
And my claim to fame, I got to Columbus North my junior year of high school. So I was the JV tennis coach captain.
There you go.
That was the big thing I did.
Yeah.
Real quick on Caitie and her East volleyball success is every time we go to the Orange Pit, one of the boys' favorite thing is to go to the concession stand hallway, if you will, and try to find mom's all-state picture, and then the team photo from when you guys went. So that's always fun, and you feel older and older when you see that picture because
look back in time.
Yeah, the boys I think are closer to you now than we are to you at that age.
Yes. So speaking of kids in general, I'm thinking about why each of us chose to be a part of this, and you kind of spoke to it, Zach. But if you both could kind of share why be a part of an adult prom, right? That's the fun part. But the real big thing is raising funds for child abuse prevention. Why did you guys want to be a part of this?
Yeah, we'll jump on it because I volunteered, Caitie, to a degree. So I got to take a little bit of the cake here. So really what it is I've had a lot of respect for Turning Point over the years. I helped out quite a bit with the dance marathon initiative that they did on the finance committee, and I was just wildly impressed watching young kids go and find a cause, support it, raise money, and then create an event. And so I got to know Whitney Lloyd pretty well through that initiative and Turning Point. And so when they came to me to explain that, hey, we've got new programming, a lack of funding for this programming, and then the programming is around child abuse prevention, which, we've all got kids in the room, so that's a pretty close to home concept. And what Turning Point has taught me personally is you think there's issues that don't exist in the community. It started with the kind of teen dating and domestic violence. Would have never known that was an issue. And then you kind of peel the curtain back, right? And you're going, boy, that's a problem. So between Whitney explaining to me the issue, knowing the great organization Turning Point was, and the funding that was necessary, is it comfortable to go out and ask for money and support? No, but I think for an organization and an individual like Whitney, I was more than happy to. And they were looking for some female contestants, and my loud mouth. I was like, hey,
Yeah.
Caitie would love to do this.
She was going to be your date anyway, right? So,
which ended up being one of the dumbest decisions I made, because what you find is when you get support, everybody loves your beautiful spouse over you. So it makes me work twice as hard, I feel like, for some of the support. But it's good.
Yeah.
I won't take the low-lying fruit. I'll let this community support Caitie and kind of work a little harder at it.
Yeah. So Caitie, and I'll start with you and then go back to Zach on this one. We both have had all of us have had some great adults in our lives that have invested in us. And, what I've learned is either we've gone through something or we know someone who's gone through something, or maybe something in the future that we don't know yet. But I wonder, who are some of the adults that have invested in you over the years that, were those positive role models for who you are today?
I mean, obviously, my both sets of my grandparents and my parents, but from them aside, I would have to say more or less just all my coaches. I was really, really fortunate and blessed with some really good, disciplined coaches, and I think at times it is easier as a kid, if you're going through something, if you don't feel comfortable talking to your parents about it, having an outlet with somebody that you feel safe and comfortable with that you can go to. And I think I felt that with all of my coaches, from elementary school all the way through high school. And they shaped me as a person. They taught me, maturity, discipline, time management, and just having that outlet and feeling comfortable with them was great asset for me as a child. So.
That's awesome. What about you, Zach?
Yeah, I think I'm going to have a similar answer. The way I always think of it is, phases of life. There's certain individuals along those phases that help you out. So honestly, like in kindergarten or elementary school, I always think of there's always that one or two teachers, third grade, Miss Gebhardt was an amazing woman. I'm sure if I met Miss Gebhardt now, maybe she wasn't as cool, but and then you get into middle school and you start transitioning on kind of how you perceive the world. And I think a lot of those coaches are kind of saying, hey, discipline or kindness or team effort or some of those kinds of things are. And then really as you transition to an adulthood, I think if you really get a good perspective on your parents or business leaders, a business leader in the community I always was highly impressed with was Charlie Farbright. He's a guy that has shown that kindness isn't soft, but you can also lead with kindness. So, I think at every phase of life, there's always been somebody different that I've always looked up to or have respected to kind of help shape who I am. So, great question.
Yeah, that's awesome. So I want to do something fun a little bit. I want to give a shout out to Maddie, who helped me with this question, because the theme is around the 2000s, and that was our prom, was in the 2000s. What do you remember about those years growing up, whether it was, music or outfits or, trends, culture, cell phones, no social media? What do you guys remember?
When you said social media, I don't mean to interrupt, but when you said social media, the thing that I always laugh about is I'm not on social media. I've never really done the Facebook or the Instagram, but one of the biggest things was AIM. You remember that? And the away messages.
Yeah.
That was your thing is, you'd have some crafty saying or whatever it is. So to me, I always kind of go back to AIM when we think of social media. MySpace starting around a little bit. Yeah. I don't want to talk too much. Music, it's probably Country Grammar. Greatest album ever.
They don't make music like that anymore.
No, they don't. They don't.
I will stand for that.
Yeah.
First cell phones, the little Nokia ones.
Did you have a flip phone? Or was
eventually.
It was before flip phones,
yes.
What year did the Razor phone come out? Was that?
That was huge.
Was that later on?
That was maybe my senior year. College. That was later on. Yeah, that's how old we are.
Yeah. What about things that we wore back then? I remember baggy clothes were kind of cool for especially athletes, but
we never had the funds for them. But Jinko jeans, honestly, they were probably for the fringe guys, but that always sticks to me, and all that stuff. So I think those always make me laugh a little bit.
American Eagle, Abercrombie and Fitch,
cargo shorts,
Fair Oaks Mall. I think about that. Going there and
that is true. The American Eagle, cargo, and
velour jumpsuits,
big logos.
Girls.
Oh yeah, logos,
There were
Juicy or whatever it was.
Some things that were coming back now, but some things like, oh, those should have stayed back there.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, for sure.
One of the things I got to laugh about is, our boys are going school clothes shopping, right?
Yes,
so we're kind of saying, what are you going to get? And Caitie's going to our 11-year-old, hey, so are you ready to buy jeans, right? So you're going to be a big kid because we're basketball shorts and sweatpants. And my defense was, I don't think I owned a set of jeans until I was a senior in high school. So it was all sweatpants and sweatshirts. I don't think my style's changed since then.
Well, I think that's fun to just be able to talk about that and remember that and look forward to. And I haven't picked it out yet, but I'm sure you guys are thinking through, all right, what are we going to be wearing to this cool event? But I'm sure there'll be some interesting outfits.
Well, not to interrupt, but Caitie did. It was cute because we were at dinner with her parents a month or two ago, and she goes, hey, Mom, do you still have my prom dress from my senior year?
Prom dresses are like, anything like that.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, we're in the 2000s.
Yeah.
Almost like, why would I have kept it?
For 20 years, I would have kept your prom dress or whatever. So that makes me laugh. So I'll have to just find an ill-fitting suit is basically it.
Yes. Well, back to kind of the cause and the reason that we're here. I wonder, what is your hope through us? This is the first year Turning Point taking over this initiative because obviously Family Services have been doing this for decades, and due to federal funding and changes there, Turning Point has taken this over. Like, when we look back 20 years from now, and we got to be a part of this for the first year, what are your hopes of through raising funds and then the education that will come because of it?
Yeah.
Go ahead, you were going to jump in.
Well, all I'm going to say is when they were explaining kind of how child abuse prevention works in the community, and you're saying what's the long-term effect, you kind of mentioned third grade is a very critical point in the going into the classroom. So part of the child abuse prevention is they go into every single classroom in elementary school, talk to the kids about signs, and they said by third grade, it really, some of those kind of signs start, kids recognize them and they talk about them. So as you're saying long-term effect, we have a third grader now.
Wow.
So from 20 years from now, it'll be, not that we're doing anything to them, but I think it'll be able to look back and go, hey, that was a pretty important phase of his life, and there's a lot of third graders in the community. So, to help that specific age group that hits so close to home to us.
You don't realize how much they do going into every single classroom, going into every single school, and just making sure that they do have the funding to continue that because it is so important.
Yeah.
And then the goal will be 20 years from now, we got an 11-year-old and a 9-year-old, so I'll be cutting a check to Turning Point on behalf of Harrison or AJ Greiner because they'll be participating in this same event. So let's hope that we keep the kids around the community and they continue to support something like this.
Well, I hope your boys are watching this because you're going to pay it forward, but then they're going to come back someday. Exactly. And Dad said he'd write a check. Awesome. Well, I want to say thank you guys for making the time to do this interview, be able to talk to the community. I just want to encourage you, Columbus, as you're watching this, please join Zach, Caitie, and I and the other candidates. And, we're asking very specifically for dollars. And some people have the ability to give a lot, others a little, and everywhere in between. But every single dollar that you're giving is going to this really, really important initiative. And because of that, I'm going to go ahead and put, just a video here where you'll see Zach and Caitie's names and everybody else's where you can click. I'll put the link in the description where you can go and give towards this effort because it is going to make a big difference in Columbus. And I believe that through this, we're helping make Columbus the safest that it can be to raise a child, to have kids, for them to grow up and then one day, be productive and great adults that can pour into children in the future.
That's how you get these great communities like Columbus, is you kind of keep that cyclicality going of healthy communities, healthy environments creates healthy people, I feel like.
Awesome.
And thanks for doing this. I appreciate it. This is awesome. Yeah.
Glad to do it.
Yeah.
Well, thank you guys so much for tuning into this episode. Please support Zach and Caitie, and we'll see you next time.